Have you ever stopped to think about what's really inside a simple piece of bread? I'm not talking about flour, yeast, or water, but about something that is rarely mentioned in advertisements and that often goes unnoticed even when we read the label. A discrete ingredient, one that seldom stands out, but that may be acting silently inside your body, especially in your gut. Now picture that moment when you slice into a soft, still warm loaf and watch the crumbs fall slowly. It looks perfect, doesn't it? But the question is, what did it take to achieve that appearance, that texture, and that shelf life? Bread is, without a doubt, one of the most consumed foods on the planet. It's there at breakfast, during afternoon snacks, in quick sandwiches, or even as a side for lunch and dinner. It's a symbol of simplicity, but the modern reality of this food is far more complex. To meet the demand for soft, visually appealing, and long-lasting products, the food industry resorts to techniques and substances that simply didn't exist in the traditional recipes our grandparents used. Among preservatives, flavor improvers, and processing additives, there's one specific ingredient that is attracting increasing attention from researchers and gut health advocates. It's cheap, effective, and controversial. Some studies suggest that frequent consumption can alter the gut microbiota and trigger subtle inflammations often unnoticed in daily life that may have long-term consequences. Its name? Azodicarbonamide. Perhaps you've never heard this word before, but it's highly likely you've consumed this additive more times than you think. Officially, it's used to make bread softer, with a uniform color and an inviting appearance. It's a real shortcut for industrial standardization. The thing is, its use is so controversial that it has already been banned in countries like Australia and throughout the European Union, and yet, it remains legal in many others, including here. Chemically speaking, azodicarbonamide is an oxidizing agent that improves gluten structure, helping dough rise more evenly and making it easier to handle on production lines. However, during the baking process, it breaks down into byproducts such as urea and semicarbazide compounds that raise food safety concerns. While regulatory agencies in some countries claim that small amounts are safe, preliminary research suggests these byproducts can irritate the intestinal lining. This irritation can be even more problematic for people with irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel diseases, or imbalances in gut microbiota. And here is an important point. The problem ends having a little bread now and then. The danger lies in constant exposure. When this additive is found in virtually all industrial breads, combined with other preservatives and additives we consume daily, it creates a cumulative effect that's starting to worry health experts. To give you an idea, a study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry analyzed the presence of semicarbazide in baked goods and how it interacts with intestinal cells in lab tests. Although there's no definitive consensus, the results were enough to trigger red flags in several countries. So, the question arises, how can we avoid this type of additive? One alternative is to look for naturally fermented breads, which use slower processes and don't require chemical improvers for texture and flavor. Another option is to make bread at home using only flour, water, salt, and yeast. And of course, always read the label, even if the letters are tiny. The rule is simple. The shorter and more understandable the ingredient list, the better. Bread itself is not the villain in this story. What deserves our attention is the way it's being produced on an industrial scale, with chemical shortcuts that don't always prioritize consumer health. Understanding what is behind such a common food is the first step toward protecting your gut health and making more informed eating choices. And here's an invitation. In the next video, we'll reveal another widely used food ingredient that may be silently altering your metabolism. If you want to discover more about what the industry hides, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because information is your best defense.